All right, what a great conversation that was. Okay, so next up, we are in for a treat. So this is going to be a pre-recorded session. Joining Devin again, we have Spencer Dinwiddie, who is an NBA star. At the moment, he's busy with the NBA season, so we did pre-record this season. So without further ado, let's give the stage to Devin and Spencer.
Spencer, thanks for joining us here at HederaCon 2025. You want to go ahead and just give a little intro on who you are and what project you're working on in the ecosystem?
Yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie. Been in the NBA for 11 years now. Play currently for the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm working on Calaxy, founder, chairman, or co-founder, and now chairman of Calaxy on the Hedera within the Hedera ecosystem.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, what inspired your interest to get into the Web3 blockchain space?
I would say twofold. I think when you're in the NBA and you start to, make some money, start looking at the investing landscape, um, I look for areas that made sense to me, right? So, did some VC investing in tech, kind of found out about blockchain, looked at macro finance trends, Bitcoin as a store of value. I think that's where everybody starts. That was a piece of it. And then also the intersection of sports contracts and entertainers and things like that. And once I got to learning about blockchain, I started to think about like how you could, unlock trap liquidity, liquefy the world in a sense. And so that was another bridge, and that's how I got to, you know, different layer ones and what blockchain technology itself could do beyond obviously digital gold.
Yeah, and you just mentioned about that intersection between athletes and creators and entertainers and Web3, and that kind of is a nice transition into Calaxy. Like, how is Calaxy helping solve that, or what is it solving for exactly?
Oh, well, I mean, to get to what it's solving for, I mean, I probably gotta, maybe walk you through some of the journey in a little bit more depth. I mean, we first basically started off trying to, securitize my contract, which we ended up doing to a certain degree. We learned about the differences between obviously the securities landscape and more utility-based projects. We also learned that, for most influencers, the utility-based route is going to be best because they don't necessarily have like a hard asset backing them, like an NBA contract or an institution like the NBA itself. Um, and what you realize fans really want is that interaction as well. And so that's kind of how Galaxy initially was born, right? The Creators Galaxy. So it was how can we start to smooth out some of these uh, creator and user interactions. We wanted things to feel like Web 2, be underpinned by Web 3. So you had a lot of that decentralization of, the community, transparency in things such as like voting rights, but just really authentic interactions. And so how could we create this suite of tools in a sense to make that more effective?
Yeah, and it sounds like you're continuing to innovate on that sort of fan engagement, community building piece, like specifically referencing on Worlds. Or would you tell the people what Worlds is in regards to Galaxy?
Yeah, so worlds again, I mean, I think when you look at how this landscape is going with, memes and just engagement, right? Being able to create token gated, almost subscription based modeling, where you can have your separate community within a larger ecosystem like a Hedera is kind of what inspired that. And then also again, going back to those suite of tools, we see so many rug pulls, right? And I don't even necessarily think that all of those are, with malicious intent, right? But you launch a token, which is very easy, and you attach a name to it, and you get kind of this viral, fan engagement. And then obviously when there's nothing left to be done, people run off with money. Early people that were, into it, they start dumping tokens, things like that. I think when you look at Galaxy and more specifically Worlds, right? Because there's so many tools within the Galaxy ecosystem already, it makes the rug pull, I guess, not foolproof because there's always going to be bad actors in the space, but it makes it very hard to do. So you get to, have that transparency within the world. You get to see, tokens, how they're moving, on the influencer side in terms of ownership of just those tokens, data, et cetera. I mean, I think you get a more authentic interaction set.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like you all have thought about a lot of these different corners when it comes to this. Is there anything going ahead in regards to Calaxy's future developments that users can anticipate and how you're like keeping up with this like evolving Web3 landscape?
Oh man, Web3 is definitely evolving. I think obviously you see a lot of the regulations, just like with the US, is going to really drive adoption. But more specifically to Galaxy, I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I think, when things are underpinned by Web3 because of the transparency and also the ownership, you're going to start to really see, um, without revealing too much, a more in-depth way of monetization, right? Just where really in the influencers' hands, they're going to have a ton of control and, like I said, ownership. You're going to be able to see more efficient microtransactions, obviously. And then, again, when we start talking about decentralization, voting rights, transparency, now instead of maybe Web 2 poll that could be possibly manipulated on the back end, obviously, when you have tokens and verifiable percentage of influence, I guess those things won't be able to happen anymore. So, I think where Calaxy scales in terms of decentralized social, I mean, it's kind of the way of the world now. I mean, even we're doing this interview right now on Zoom, right? It's becoming more virtual. It's becoming, more screen time, but searching for authenticity. So I think we're at the center of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And you gave a lot of kind of good insights and gems in this, but as like a final question, what advice would you give to any sort of athlete, creator, entertainer that's looking to step into the Web3 space and get sort of closer to the community?
Oh, I mean, first and foremost, talking to my fellow entertainers, I mean, it would more so probably be a plea. Obviously, I'm biased, and so I would say come to Galaxy, but in general, just hoping that you join good actors in the space. I think we talked a little bit about regulations. Obviously, we all believe that now that the U.S. has kind of decided to try to be the crypto capital of the world and stuff like that, and the space should take off. Um, you know, don't don't be a bad actor in the space. I mean, it's a in the Web3 ethos, it's like a we all can win type of vibe. So, join a good actor. That would be my plea to the entertainers. Um, and then for Galaxy, like I said, I think we have so much that I don't think people understand like how we built it to the point of again, I keep talking about that concept of ownership. I think we have so much that's going to come out in the near future that my fellow co-founder and team don't want me revealing, and I have a penchant for sometimes dropping a little bit too much. So I'm trying to stay, I guess, coded in a sense. But you know, yeah, Galaxy is gonna be fine. We're gonna do very very well. We have a lot of irons in the fire and doing big things. Thanks to obviously great partners like Hedera and also Solana as well now. But yeah, like my plea to fellow entertainers is just please join good actors. It's a space that we can all win in, and don't rug pull the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, really appreciate you taking the time today, Spencer. Really excited to see what's next for Galaxy, and thanks again. Good luck to you on the rest of the season.
Appreciate you, boss.